Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. All right, let's just dive right into it, because today we're challenging a massive and honestly kind of exhausting obsession in the tech industry. You know the one, that endless, exhausting quest to write the ultimate, perfect, static AI prompt. We see teams literally spending countless hours tweaking a single paragraph of instructions, crossing their fingers, and hoping it'll just magically solve all their edge cases forever. But what if that whole approach is fundamentally flawed? What if nailing that starting prompt is actually just the very beginning of the journey?
Because, well, here's the reality. The best prompt you write today will not be the best prompt a month from now. I mean, think about it for a second. Your product is inevitably going to change. Your users are going to change. Your own team's taste and understanding are constantly evolving, and entirely new, bizarre edge cases are going to pop up every single week. If you're using an AI agent for any kind of work that requires actual human judgment, there's just no way a static set of instructions could possibly cover everything it's ever going to need to know.
So this means we really need to change the question we're asking ourselves. Instead of agonizing over how do we write the perfect prompt, we need to solve the central mystery of this explainer. How do we build agents that keep learning from the team after they ship? How do we shift our focus away from rigid, static text files and toward dynamic, continuous learning loops?
Let's start with part 1, the agent trap.
To figure this out, we're going to look at a real-world example from a company called Warp. They built an AI agent named Buzz specifically to handle community mentions. This is highly subjective and judgment-heavy work that directly represents their brand. Now, when you're building an agent for, say, code generation, the core feedback loop is incredibly straightforward. The agent tries something, and it has super concrete signals to check if it worked. Software tests, builds, command outputs. It's totally objective, right? Pass or fail. But judgment-heavy work like social replies or customer support, it completely lacks those objective external checks. An agent can't exactly fire off 100 experimental, snarky tweets, measure the long-term impact on brand trust, and then just hit retry. The feedback loop there is far too long, it's incredibly noisy, and man, is it expensive.
And because of that lack of clear feedback, teams building these judgment-based agents almost always fall into the almost working trap. Have you ever experienced this? It's so frustrating. The agent is clearly capable, the output is just good enough to get your hopes up, but it's not consistently good enough to actually trust in production. So what happens? The team gets trapped in this endless cycle of tweaking the prompt, crossing their fingers, and hoping version 47 will finally close the gap. But getting the agent to do the task once isn't actually the hard part. The real challenge is building a system that improves over time.
Which brings us to Section 2, Principles Beat Rules. When Warp first built Buzz, they made the exact same mistake everyone makes. They handed it a massive, bloated checklist of rigid rules. They told it, okay, if someone mentions a bug, say this exactly. If they ask about pricing, say that. The prompt became huge, the replies sounded totally robotic, and the agent completely broke down the second it hit an edge case they hadn't explicitly predicted. Because, as we see with brittle rules like never mention pricing in the first sentence, they just overfit to one specific failure and break entirely when context changes. Instead, Warp realized they needed flexible principles. A principle, like if someone is venting, lead with empathy, not a pitch, tells the agent how to think about a problem, allowing it to adapt to totally unique, unexpected situations.
So, Warp completely deleted their giant decision tree of rules and replaced it with a short, punchy list of durable principles. Things like, be helpful, not defensive, do not talk down to the user, check your factual claims against the docs, and sound like someone who builds the product, not some robot processing a ticket. This simple change immediately made the instructions smaller and the agent vastly better. It gave Buzz a much more natural baseline to work from. But, and this is a really big but, principles alone still aren't enough to capture every nuance.
Let's look at Section 3, Teaching Agents to Learn.
Okay, so principles are a fantastic starting point, but the agent still needs ongoing human feedback to handle brand new situations. And here, Warp quickly discovered a secondary failure mode. If you leave it unchecked, an agent will just try to turn every single human correction back into a rigid rule. If someone on the team said a draft sounded too salesy, the agent would instantly try to add a hard rule banning the mention of price entirely. It just didn't know how to generalize. To fix this, Warp built a separate, dedicated skill entirely for learning. When a human corrects a draft, this learning skill kicks in with 4 exact steps. First, identify exactly what went wrong. Second, ask why. Find the underlying cause and see if there's a broader pattern. Third, zoom out and write a new transferable principle, not a rule. And finally, edit the main instructions and commit the change.
And actually, this brings up a fascinating side effect that I absolutely love. Teaching an agent is like teaching a new team member.
By forcing the agent to extract these broad ideas, it actually forces the human team to articulate their own implicit taste. Think about it. So much of what makes a great team great lives completely silently in people's heads. Teaching a self-improving agent forces all that subjective judgment out of your brain and explicitly onto the page.
Moving on to Section 4, integrating the loop.
Now, we face a very real, practical challenge. Who is actually going to take the time to sit down and teach the agent every single day without it feeling like a massive chore? If you create some annoying recurring meeting to review AI outputs, your team is simply going to stop showing up. The absolute genius of Warp's approach was making this feedback loop completely frictionless by integrating it exactly where the team already lives, in Slack. Here's how smooth the workflow is. Buzz drafts a reply and posts it in a Slack channel. A team member reviews it, and instead of filling out some tedious form, they literally just react with a simple emoji indicating what they did. Maybe a check mark if they used it or a pencil if they rewrote it. Then, once a day in the background, the agent collects all those emoji reactions and threads and extracts the durable learnings to update its principles. One single click. That's the whole training signal.
Now you might be wondering, wait, isn't there a massive, obvious risk here? Do we really want an AI agent silently rewriting its own core instructions in the background every single day? Absolutely not. No way. That is exactly how an agent veers wildly off course. The absolutely crucial safety mechanism here is that you must treat your agent's skills and instructions exactly like software code.
To maintain total control, all of the instructions live in a proper code repository with full version history. When the learning agent extracts a new principle, it doesn't just push that change directly to production. Actually, scratch that, it can't. Instead, it opens a daily pull request, a PR, just like a developer would. It shows the team exactly what feedback it reviewed, the principle it wants to change, and the exact text difference. A human reviews it, approves it, and merges it. Boom. You get all the compounding benefits of self-improvement with absolutely zero loss of control.
Finally, Section 5, compounding human judgment.
The end result of this architecture is frankly incredible. Today, Buzz autonomously processes thousands of community mentions a month across Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, you name it. It filters out all the noise so the human team only spends time on mentions that actually require real attention. It saves a massive amount of time while perfectly retaining Warp's authentic brand voice. And to put it in perspective, it's grown so capable that it now operates on roughly 15 distinct skills. It handles everything from triage to drafting to analytics. The whole shebang runs quietly in the background, triggering on schedules or incoming pings. And because of that daily learning loop, it literally gets a little bit sharper every single day.
So let's summarize the blueprint we've uncovered for building these systems. If you want self-improving agents that actually work, remember these 3 core takeaways. Number 1, principles beat rules. Rules overfit and break, principles transfer and adapt. Number 2, agents need a dedicated skill to learn how to learn. Otherwise, they just create brittle, annoying exceptions. And number 3, the feedback loop must be frictionless, and it has to live where the team already works. Because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal here isn't to remove human taste or judgment from your workflows. Not at all. It's to capture it. When built correctly, an agent stops being just some static prompt a developer wrote 6 months ago. It evolves into a living, working memory of exactly how your team thinks. Every single time a human corrects the agent, that judgment compounds. And that leaves us with a critical, provocative question for you to chew on as you build out your own workflows. It's time to stop asking how to write the perfect prompt and start asking, how are you capturing your team's taste so your agents can actually keep learning? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this helps you build smarter, more dynamic systems.